Right. Hi everyone. So we have Jonathan Foster, an article writer for the United Stand with us today. We'll be talking about his love for United, his journey with United Stand, and we'll also be discussing about the FA Cup lineup and the FA Cup semi-final that we have against Chelsea today. So hi Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Hello, mate. Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah, it's nice and sunny here in England, so good weather for the FA Cup, definitely.
Excellent. And what do you think about yesterday's result, Arsenal versus City?
Yeah, obviously quite surprising. Look, Man City haven't been brilliant this season. They've lost at least 9 or 10 games across all competitions, I think. So,
Right.
um, Man City aren't the best team, but obviously Arsenal have been quite poor themselves. So, well done to Arsenal. They deserve it.
I mean, yes, I mean they have had a good run of form in the last a few couple of matches, especially. Like especially after the Bournemouth game, they have actually come back quite well.
Yeah, I think they had a slip up against Tottenham, but apart from that, they've really come back after the lockdown with something to prove, and they've done well, to be honest. I mean, I grew up in an era where it was always Arsenal against Man United as a top two back in the late 90s. So I've got no problem seeing Arsenal back up there, so long as they don't go any higher than us.
Right, and I mean I'm like more excited for to get Arsenal in the finals rather than the City derby because Arsenal are 13 FA Cup titles, we are at 12, so we have a chance to level up with them if we win the FA Cup final.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people would have preferred Man United to play City, to be honest. But me personally, as long as we get to that final, I was happy either way, whether it be a derby game or a bit of an old rivalry in Arsenal. But
Right,
I'm not. I'm probably about 70% confident today. I think that we will go in as favourites because if we play at our best, I think we should win. But
right.
Chelsea are a very good team, and even though we've won them 3 times this season already, they're up there
Hmm.
in the league, aren't they? So the league doesn't lie.
Right. Right. So let's start with this discussion with a little bit about yourself, like who you are, how did you actually fall in love with this club United, and your journey with the United stand, like how did it start and how has it been all this while?
Okay. I was very lucky because when I first started watching football, it was around about 1992. So obviously that date is very familiar for the United fans and United players.
Right.
So I grew up watching Giggs play and Lee Sharp at the time and Andre
Uh,
Kanchelskis. One of our biggest signings at the time was Eric Cantona that I can remember. So watching these players, obviously, it was very easy for me to support them. I live about 2 hours away from Manchester. I live in the Midlands, Birmingham being a club that you would have heard of, and Wolverhampton Wanderers, West Bromwich Albion. So those
yeah.
are my local teams. But on the TV, it was nearly always Manchester United. So there was entertaining to watch, and there was playing on TV more than most clubs. Don't forget, back 25 years ago, there wasn't a game on every day of the week. There were probably 2 games a
Uh,
week, maybe one in Europe
right.
and one on Sunday. So Man United was on TV a lot, and because they were entertaining, I was happy to support them. Uh,
Brilliant.
yeah, regarding the United stand, it's only been fairly recently. I'd say about 3 months ago, I started to
Hmm.
do some writing off my own back, and then I got lucky. I saw Doughty put a tweet up just asking for any article writers for them. Well, I already had an article that I wrote just the previous day on Brandon Williams comparing him to Gary Neville. So I sent that to
Okay.
him, and thankfully he liked the read of it, and he uploaded it on Easter Sunday, and I've done about 3 articles a week since then.
Right. Brilliant. I mean, so you have been with United stand for quite a while now, and yes, I have read like a few of your articles recently since we have started, interacting on Twitter. And yes, I mean they're quite insightful. So yes, I mean brilliant. That is brilliant. Now I have one question for you. So especially after the Premier League has restarted, what do you think about the current form and what is it? 19th unbeaten run now, 19 game unbeaten run.
It's brilliant. I don't think that there's much being talked about it. I think the Man United fans in general are very happy now. Obviously, there's still a few that are probably waiting for United to lose so they can jump on Solskjaer or whoever they dislike at the club. But 19 games unbeaten is very good. And don't forget, not all of them have been draws. There has been a lot of wins in those 19 games.
Exactly.
It's a breath of fresh air since Bruno's came, since Ighalo's came.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bad start to the season. We know that the squad at the start of the season wasn't strong enough to compete for third, really, let alone anything higher than that. So we was never going to get any higher. And I really believe that if we do get third, Ollie has actually exceeded expectations. And I know a lot of people won't like that because they'll consider Man United should be challenging for the top. But there's no way that this squad this season was going to get top or even second. So I think Ollie's done a great job. Yeah, and well done to him. He's done well.
I mean, yeah, we have been on a tremendous run of late. And what do you think? I mean, according to you, did Bruno exactly bring to United that we were lacking in the past couple of seasons, or maybe last 6, 7 seasons for that matter, since Sir Alex Ferguson retired?
Yeah, look, I think we've seen it a lot, especially since lockdown as well. Getting the ball from the defenders to the attackers has been very awkward. We've been very slow. There's not been any creativity. There's not been any movement off the ball. And I think what Matic, Bruno and Pogba have bought is they've actually bought levels in that midfield. So you've got Matic to pick the ball up. You've got Pogba who can get passes from deep and in and around the box. And then you've got Bruno who can find that killer pass. So obviously it's not just down to Bruno, but he is the last player really to get that ball to one of the front three. And he just thinks outside the box. He doesn't think like an English player who plays in the Premiership. He's come to the team and done something completely different. And I think everyone's happy with that and wanted that to happen because no other way has worked. Lingard's way didn't work. Pereira's way didn't work. Mata's way didn't work. So Bruno's come in. He's doing things his way. The first few games, he was telling people where to run, and everyone's listening to him because it's working. So I think he just adds energy. He's creative. He'll take shots on, and he's just a breath of fresh air, isn't he?
Right. I mean, a lot of people on Twitter, especially, are comparing him with the likes of Roy Keane or Eric Cantona in the terms of impact he has brought to the club altogether. I mean, since he has come in January, United have been on a different run altogether. Training pictures, you see players like way too happy. When was the last time? I don't remember. When players were so happy in the training ground or during the matches, or even on their social media for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, you can just imagine it now. We've seen all the videos being leaked out of Manchester United's the dressing room and on the training ground in the last couple of weeks with Dan James dancing with Pogba and Pogba and Matic on that little vehicle. Yeah, but you can imagine what's going on in Tottenham's training ground right now with Jose Mourinho. You can just imagine, I wouldn't say unhappiness, but almost like fearful and not being themselves. Man United players at the moment are being themselves. They're happy. They're expressing themselves. And obviously Bruno's been a part of that as well because obviously you're a lot happier when you start playing well and scoring goals and succeeding. The fan base is happier, so the players will know how happy the fan base is at the moment. That will give them a lift. And I always believe that a happy team will automatically just give you that extra 10-20%, and we can see that on the pitch at the moment.
Right. While we are talking about Mourinho, he is actually doing us a favor right now. I see Tottenham 2 up against Leicester.
Yeah, very good. I wasn't expecting 2-0. Leicester's very much up and down at the moment, aren't they? They came back losing after lockdown, which it surprised me how many they lost quite quickly.
It's actually 3 now. Harry Kane has scored 1 more goal right now.
So I think we're just 1 goal away now from on goal average to actually overtake them even playing. So that's a pleasant surprise, to be honest.
I mean, yes, but then we still have West Ham in a few days, and that is also a good match for us.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry, I just think that West Ham could have been a lot tougher because if West Ham didn't do so well in the last couple of weeks, then they might have had to win us to stay up. Whereas now it looks like that they're about 6 points roughly away from the relegation zone. So their
Right.
game against us doesn't mean as much to them. So
Mhm.
potentially that will be a bit more of an easy game for us. It should have been easy anyway, but obviously when teams want to stay up in the Premiership, they'll try that extra bit harder. So that's a very good result for us at the moment. Yeah.
Right. And talking about, the lineups would be out in a few minutes. So we have Father Sharma, one of, the members who started the Manchester United Fan Club Delhi here in India. He wants to ask you, considering that, would you prefer, a strong lineup so that we can, have a better chance at FA Cup, or would you like go for the top four? So what would you actually prefer right now?
Yeah, this is a big question, isn't it? Because I think the fan base is split. When we played a weaker team against Norwich in the cup game previously, a lot of fans were saying that's the wrong decision. You should have played the first team first, get the win out the way, and then bring your subs on. But you can look at it two ways. We've got another game coming up soon, so I think any way you look at it, there's pros and cons. I think what is true is that Ollie is stuck with a cup team up until this point.
Hmm.
So I think he will pretty much stick to that cup team. So if Igalo starts, sorry, he'll that wouldn't surprise me one bit. If either Greenwood or Rashford is rested, then that wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if Lingard starts as well. He had a
Right.
bit of match time previously, and he
Hmm.
started against Norwich. I just don't want to see too many changes up front because we will
Right.
miss that creative spark. So I'd like to see Bruno start, if I'm honest. Um,
All right.
that wouldn't bother me at all. If Bruno started with Lingard on one side and maybe Rashford or Greenwood on the other side, then we do still look threatening there then.
Right. I mean, you just mentioned Norwich. So talking about Norwich and Southampton in particular, what do you think about the lack of depth, or the us having a lack of flair, especially post substitutions when we substitute someone like Bruno, Pogba, or Matic not playing? We have a lack of flair. We are not very confident with the ball, on the ball rather, and there is that sense of that we might have a goal against us, like we had last minute goal against Southampton. We could have easily had that match maybe in the 70th, 75th minute. But then, what do you think about the lack of depth that we have right now?
Yeah, it's there for everybody to see. I think we've still got some good players on the bench, but they don't necessarily fit where we need them. So, Fred is a lot of people's player of the season this season. I prefer Aaron Wan-Bissaka for my player of the season, but before lockdown, a lot of people were saying Fred, and I could understand that. But where does he actually fit in? Because he's not a Matic role, and he's not a Bruno role. He's more of a box-to-box role. So he's not going to jump in as adding depth or creativity, in my opinion. And I think McTominay falls into that same boat. We've got
Right.
further players in Mata and Pereira and Lingard who
Like,
have had a lot of game time this season and we've struggled. So for me, Sancho and Grealish would be two fantastic signings. Um,
right.
I understand that Grealish has come from Aston Villa, a relegation team. But I think when you do actually look at Grealish, he's a step ahead of the rest of that Villa team. So I wouldn't want people to look at Grealish and think, oh, he's not good enough for us, because I think surrounded by better players, he would definitely add more to our team than maybe Pereira and Lingard have given us this season.
Right. And so next question that we have is from Akash. You have spoken to him on Twitter as well as on one of our watch alongs.
Yeah.
And his question to you is, so what is your comments on Ole's growth since December of 2018, about his signings, the people he has offloaded, his man management skills, his playing style, and most importantly, do you think he is one of the Sir Alex Ferguson protege?
Yeah, I think people are realising now that we've started to win, that all the things that he's put in place, it took time, but it was never going to happen overnight. What he's had to
Right.
do is he's had to come in and change the whole culture of the club, and he can't do that with certain players at the team, not just because of their ability, but because of their personalities. So if you've got personalities and players in that team a year and a half ago that were very negative towards the club, who didn't particularly care about the club, who cared potentially more about themselves, then they needed to leave. And he's done that. And I think all the players who he's removed, I don't think we've missed any of them. I think the only time we really missed anybody is because we never brought anybody else in to replace them. But gradually, over the space of 3 transfer windows, we are bringing them in. So, I think the players that he's got rid of, spot on. I still think there's maybe 3 or 4 left to remove from the club. I think a lot of people think that. The players that he's brought in, so let's start off with Dan James. He was brought in as a squad player for £15 million. I think for £15 million, you couldn't get a better player for £15 million.
Right.
You're not expecting a Bruno Fernandes kind of player for £15 million from Swansea. He's come in and he's done the job until maybe Greenwood obviously gets better, or with Sancho coming in. So I think James was a bargain. Harry Maguire came in and made us better. Look at all the clean sheets that we've kept. The odd goals that we have conceded since lockdown have just been individual mistakes. I think as a team we've looked more solid at the back this season compared to last season. Wan-Bissaka, my player of the season. Okay, he's had a couple of 2 or 3 poor games since lockdown, but he's had about 35 fantastic games. So again, Wan-Bissaka fantastic. Bruno, we don't need to say anything else on Bruno. And Igalo, before lockdown, was banging the goals in as well. So, everybody he's brought in has improved the team, and they're here to stay as well. So he's done a fantastic job.
Right. So the next question that I have is from Dhruv Dua. He's actually the president of the Manchester United Fan Club Delhi here in India. And he wants to ask you that, do you think the lack of fans has somehow eased the pressure on the players and their performance right now? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it's almost like a training match, isn't it? With it's all down to you and your own ability. There's no distractions as such. Look, these are professionals, and don't forget that they're used to getting booed and cheered. But let's be honest, between August and January, the United fans were probably hearing more boos than cheers because we were losing in that time. It was only really February and the start of March where perhaps they would have heard more cheers. So getting rid of all those potential boos and sighs when something went wrong, that might have benefited them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's also interesting to see, players like Brandon Williams. He hasn't done much game time yet, but he's used to not playing in front of fans. Under 23s, you're looking at 500 fans there who are quite quiet. So, someone like Williams, he'd be used to that, but the likes of Pogba and the rest of them, not so much.
Right. So, the next question that I have for you is, if you were Ole right now, and having the top 3 inside and also FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea, what would be your starting lineup for tonight?
Okay, Romero in goal. I think that's absolutely fine. He's a cup goalkeeper. There's no need to play De Gea. I played De Gea for maybe the Europa League, but not the FA Cup. So Romero in goal. I'd probably want Wan-Bissaka to play at right back to get him some form. So obviously he's lacked a bit of form for whatever reason. So I'm happy for him to play. Alongside him, either way, Lindelof or Bailey, it doesn't really bother me too much. I'd probably go for Bailey on this one and rest maybe Lindelof. We know he's going to play Maguire because he plays in every game, whether it be Cup or League. So I'll be very surprised if Maguire doesn't play. On the left, if Williams is fit, then I'd play Williams. If he isn't, then it's just a toss-up between Dalot or Fosu. Now, Dalot played in the matches before, so I'd probably consider Dalot on this one and leave maybe Fosu for the league. But if Williams is fit, I'd play Williams. In midfield, I wouldn't change too much, so I'd probably change maybe 2 out of the 3, not the full 3. So I think we have to rest Matic because of obviously his age and his importance in the Premiership. So it would probably have to be McTominay, Fred and Bruno. I can't not play Bruno, unfortunately, because we just need that creativity and we just need him on the pitch. Up front,
Uh-huh.
Igalo. I think I'm happy to give him a run out, and then I'd probably play Greenwood and Lingard, or maybe Greenwood and James. So yeah, I think there's lots of alternatives, but I just don't want to
Mm-hmm.
change too much. Yeah, but I'm happy to see any of those. But I don't want to see Lingard if there's good players around him. I wouldn't want to see Lingard surrounded by Pereira, Mata, no Bruno. So we need to see Lingard surrounded by top players.
Right, Bruno. Right. So, talking about left back, you said Fosu Mensah might be an option if Williams is not available. What do you think about his performance, especially that he played in a Premier League game after almost a year and for United in after 3 years? So, what did you make of his performance in the last game?
I just think it was a steady defensive performance. I know a lot of fans, myself included, likes to see our fullbacks get forward, especially against the weaker teams. Their starting positions should almost be in the opposing half. And I think Williams is
Mm-hmm.
very good at that. That comes natural to him. Williams with the under 23s is very dominant because the under 23s team wins more matches than they lose. They're in the top two of the league. So I think
Right.
Williams is used to playing further upfield, whereas maybe Shaw or Fauzu Menza or Wan-Bissaka aren't used to having that starting position upfield. So I think Fauzu obviously is not used to getting forward that often. But that's something that obviously he can add to his game the same way as Wan-Bissaka can add to his game. I think defensively, he just done what was asked of him. I think he was just a decent performance for his first game back after so many years. Lots of talk
Right.
about potentially the central defensive midfield role for him.
Uh-huh.
I think it's something that we'd have to grow into. But if we're prepared to give McTominay a chance in that role, who's a bit more attacking minded, then why not
Right.
consider a defensive minded player in that role as well? So let's see. I think he's got an extension on his contract. Fawzu, about 2 or 3 months ago, I think he extended his contract for another 1 year. So he's going to be at the club next year anyway. So let's see what happens with him.
Right. And three players in particular that you mentioned is Van Bissaka, Harry Maguire, and Bruno. They have like played almost all the matches. Bruno still had a couple of games in which he was substituted or he started off late. But then Maguire and Van Bissaka has almost started in every game. Don't you think we are like kind of tiring them off way too soon and we have still a good number of matches considering a couple of Premier League matches in the next week and FA Cup semi-final today? So,
Mm.
what is your thought on that? Around, I mean, I know we have a certain lack of depth and a certain lack of options right now, but Maguire and Van Bissaka especially. I mean, I believe they've played almost every match since Project Restart. I mean, this Premier League restarted altogether.
Yeah, I think that's down to two reasons. One, obviously, their fitness must be very good compared to a lot of their colleagues. You can't play that many games and not have good fitness. So I think a credit to them first of all for having that good fitness. I think
Right.
it also shows, like you say, the lack of depth. There's
Mhm.
no coincidence that we are lacking on centre backs. Bailly being the obvious one with Transibi being injured. So I think if we had someone reliable to replace Maguire, then I think we would have done in cup games.
Mhm.
Could we play Bailly and Lindelof? Yeah, absolutely. If we can play Bailly and Maguire, then we can play Bailly and Lindelof. So that is definitely
Mhm.
enough. And
Right.
I wouldn't be bothered if, in a negative way, if I see that today.
Mhm.
Bailly and Lindelof should still be good enough to stop Chelsea.
Right.
But obviously, I think in myself, I think Maguire just makes them stronger. And right back, the same thing. The lack of depth there. There's no one that strikes me as reliable. I think Delo looks like potentially he could be. I wouldn't say out the door because I think that's a bit harsh. But a lot of talk about Ethan Laird being above Delo, and now all of a sudden Fauzi Menza comes in and he's above Delo. I just think
Right.
that if there was somebody or anybody there that Ollie could rely on, I think that would be replacing Amman Bissaka. But at the moment, there isn't anybody who feels comfortable to replace him. I don't think.
Right. So we have Karam Jot, and he's asking you a question that what do you think are your views on the fans who have started to follow United post Fergie era?
Yeah, it's so unfortunate that you never actually got to see how good our teams were. If people are growing up now watching Liverpool and Manchester City,
Mhm.
and these teams haven't won a treble, they find it hard to win a double or back-to-back titles. They're winning leagues with with weaker opposition. When United won in the 90s and in the noughties, we was against some fantastic opposition,
Mhm.
winning Champions League against the likes of Inter Milan and Juventus and Bayern Munich. It was a lot tougher as well back then. So it's unfortunate that they never got to go up and watch them, and I feel the same with the likes of George Best in that era. I never got to watch how good George Best was. Only little
Right.
clips. All I would say is just try and just watch the odd DVD here and there or the odd YouTube documentary just to actually watch the growth of the team. It wasn't just about one season; it was about 20 to 25 years of constant replenishment. The team that started in the early 90s wasn't there in the early noughties. That
Right.
it was a constant growth, and this is what Pep Guardiola can't do with teams. He can come in and get one team, but can he now get rid of his players and start again and rebuild? Klopp's done it very well, but can he rebuild when his team gets old? Sir Alex Ferguson did
Mhm.
it for 20 to 25 years, which is untouchable. No, I don't think anybody will ever get that dominance again for that length of time. So just keep on watching as much as you can and learn your history, definitely.
Mhm. Right. Before the lineups come, I have one more question for you, which is again from Dhruv. He says that Fergie clearly had his way with the referees, just in the way how intimidating he was. Do you see Ole going down the same road? And also adding to his question, the game that he had against Southampton. I mean, if I believe it was Fergie at that point of time, at the 90 for the 95th minute, he would have been standing next to the fourth official and telling him that the time's up. And Ole was sitting on the chair watching the match on a small TV. So do you think Ole would slowly go down the road? Like, what do you think about the question reference to Dhruv's question?
Okay, yeah. I just got half of that question. I think it was to do with the similarities between Sir Alex and Ollie. I do think that there are a lot of similarities, especially in the way of the morale at the club. I think he wants to do.
Uh-huh.
I think he wants to do things his way, and we've tried it previous ways with Van Gaal and Mourinho, and their ways haven't
Mhm.
worked. So Ollie is very strong in himself, his way of doing things. He's learned from the best with Sir Alex. Um, the similarities there in the culture that he wants at the club. Also with the
Mhm.
players, the type of players that he wants in the club. He wants
Right.
players who actually run their hearts out and actually want to play for this club. You can guarantee that all the players that he's brought in are very envious of being at the club. They actually want to be there. They're not there for the payday. They're there
Right.
because they actually want to see and watch Manchester United grow and be a part of that. And also the development of youth. Ollie was there when Ollie was young at the time as well. He was brought through gradual, even though he was brought in. He was never first choice. He was fourth. He was fourth choice behind Teddy Sheringham, York, and Cole. So he knows what it's like to be sitting on the bench, wanting to get game time. And obviously he
Right.
saw some of the youngsters come through as well. So he has learned from the best. Obviously the game's changed a lot since Sir Alex, whether that be formation, opponents, the amount of money in the game now. But
Mhm.
what I like about Ollie is he's got his way of doing it. It looks like
Right.
the board's backing him. He knows it's going to take time, and thankfully at the moment it's coming together. And
Mhm.
hopefully it comes together even more in the transfer window, and we can go
Mhm.
on first or second in the league next year.
Right. Right. So the lineups are out, John, and I mean, it's a altogether different lineup from what we discussed. Do you have the lineup in front of you?
No, I can just try and find it
I
right
mean,
now.
all right. So we have De Gea in goal, Van Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, Lindelof, Williams. Then we have Matic, Fred, Bruno, Rashford, and James.
Okay. Martial, was Martial playing?
Marshall is not in the starting 11. We have Rashford, James, and Bruno up front. Matic and Fred in the middle, and we have Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, Lindelof, and Williams. So it's, I believe it's more like 3-5-2 or
Yeah,
somewhere,
yeah. I was just trying to figure out. Yeah. Okay.
or
That's
3-4-3 with Bruno at number 10 and Lindelof, sorry, Rashford and James on the wing.
okay. So as long as we've got width there, I think that's completely going to throw off Lampard, because that's the first time that we've changed formation since the lockdown, which it could be another tactical bit of genius there from Ollie. He's won Lampard 3 times this season already. Surprises me a little
Mhm.
bit, to be honest, to change the formation. I can understand changing the personnel, but the formation, the players are getting used to that formation.
Right.
Glad to see Rashford playing. I think he's fit enough to play. Dan James will surprise me. Look, I think the fact that we're playing De Gea in goal, I think that's the statement of intent right there, to put your number one
Mhm.
goalkeeper out when we know how good Romero is, and he's been our cup goalkeeper. This to me,
Right.
this to me screams out that Ollie wants to win this game, and he's just done something tactical here to
Mhm.
throw that part off. So let's see how it works out.
Right. I mean, I believe we are going with three centre backs, then Bissaka and Williams playing on, I believe, left wing and right wing back, like left wing back and right wing back sort of, with Matic and Fred controlling the ball in the middle, and Bruno, Rashford, and James up front. I believe
Okay.
this is how we should line up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm happy just to see. I am really happy just to see Bruno there. I'm happy to see Rashford there.
You have
Fred, I think,
Maguire there.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. That to me is a strong side. It's got creativity. Sorry, I was just having a quick look just to get my head around it. I think that's still strong. I think we're strong at the back. I think we've got creativity up front. For me now,
Mhm.
we need to make sure that we can get the ball from the defence up to those attacking players, and
Right.
I think we can. I think we can. Let's use the width. Um, I'm excited to see how this turns out now, because it's going to be a slightly different tactic to what we've been used to since the return of football. So, yeah, excellent. Yeah. Is Chelsea? Have we got Chelsea's lineup? Do we know how strong Chelsea are looking?
Yeah, I was just trying to get that lineup. I
Yeah.
just get that for you in a few seconds. Talking about while I'm getting the lineup, what do you think? Chelsea's form of late has been good, and especially Pulisic and William have been really instrumental for them. So, I mean, do you think they impose a threat now that we have our lineup, which can be 3-4-1-2 with three centre backs? So, do you think Ole has that in mind that Chelsea have a lot of creativity up front? Is that why he is playing with three centre backs today?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this is the strongest opponent that we've had since the return. Okay, you could argue Tottenham was a strong game, but it's the first game back, and I still think that Chelsea are going to be more of a threat than Tottenham. So
Uh-huh.
in games before the lockdown, we did change
Hmm.
formation, didn't we? We did play three at the back or five at the back. So maybe
Hmm.
that's what he's thinking now. We're up against another strong team who, have also played well since lockdown. I think
Uh-huh.
he has took this into consideration. If we was playing a weaker team, surely he would have stuck to the 4-1, 2-3 kind of formation.
Right.
But yeah, look, I think no matter what team we put out, we should be capable of beating Chelsea. I'm not going to say that it's a given. I'm not going to say that we are going to win, but those players that you just named as our starting 11 should be
Hmm.
capable of beating a Chelsea side. And we will have a few creative people on the bench. We've got goals on the bench as well. So we should go
Hmm.
into this game full of optimism. We've got players who want to prove a point. Dan James being one of those, and I think he said Fred as well. So we should have a team here that's capable of winning. I don't know how good we're going to be at keeping the ball and moving the ball quickly. I think that's the
Right.
formation. I think the formation will be interesting to see how confident we are moving through the thirds.
Mm-hmm.
But with those players, we should be okay there.
I'm just trying to get the Chelsea lineup for you. I'm just facing some issues there, but I have the bench for United for you right now.
Oh yeah,
So,
okay.
like as we expected, we have Romero, we have Fosu Mensah, Andres Pereira, Scott McTominay, Paul Pogba, Juan Mata, Greenwood, Martial, and Igalo.
Okay. Yeah, so again, no Delo. So Falzu being ahead of Delo right there. Pogba,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, maybe we can expect to see him at some point if it's still like level or even just to rest somebody. Um,
Right.
I'm guessing, did you say Greenwood as well?
Yeah, Greenwood, Martial, and Igalo. Yes.
So there you go. If ever we need some, if ever we need some goals, look at those three there to come on. And Chelsea will be looking at that bench. I think they'll be more fearful of our bench than we'll be of their bench. So, it'll be interesting to see how it works. Hopefully, we'll still be attacking. Hopefully, we'll still be positive,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not going to just sit back.
Right.
But obviously, with James and Rashford as well, James can support getting back. So, to me, are we just going to look at some sort of counter-attacking play? I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
with Dan James there and Rashford, we've got pace. We've got Bruno's vision.
Right.
So if there are gaps in behind, if Chelsea do have that dominance of play, we can get behind them.
Right.
But I don't want us to sit back. I do actually want to see us go for it. But we have got that in our arsenal. If we do get dominated, then at least we've got players that can get in behind.
Right. I mean, I would possibly want to see more of Juan Mata today. I haven't seen him play for a long time.
Yeah,
What is it?
this could be a game.
Sorry.
Yeah, this could be a game for Matcha because I'm not on the wing. I think Matcha would need to come on to replace maybe Bruno if Bruno's getting tired. I don't think Matcha.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Matcha needs to go on the wing if you've got Greenwood on the bench, or Rashford could go out wide and Martial could obviously come on as well. Igalo. So we've got plenty of wing options there. So if Matcha does come on, he needs to play in the midfield and make things happen. I believe he played. I think Mata played against Norwich, and he didn't have his best game. And I think a lot of fans were getting on Mata's back there because he was playing out wide, and he had a poor game. He played on the right. Lingard played on the left, but neither of them could get. They couldn't get on the ball, so it forced Mata to come inside to get the ball that way, which left us with no width. So if Mata does come on, I'd like to see him in the centre of midfield.
Right. And we have the Chelsea lineup now. We have Caballero in goal. We have Rudiger, Alonso, Zuma, and James in defense. We have William, Kovacic, Jorginho. Sorry, we have Aspilicueta also. So we have Aspilicueta, Rudiger, Alonso, Zuma, and James. I believe almost the same formation that we are playing with Williams, Kovacic, Mason Mount, Giroud on front. Yes, that's how it looks like.
Yeah, that's another strong lineup as well, isn't it? Really, I don't think there's too much change there in personnel from the team that was it Norwich that they played last. I can't remember. But yeah, I think the last lineup was very similar to that. Look, we know that they got quality. We know that they got quality, but so have we. I think we could spend a lot of time looking at the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool and City and looking at their players. But let's have a look at our players. Since February or maybe even January, we've got the best record. You know, we've took a lot of wins since the transfer window, and we're still on form. We're going to be coming into this game with pressure, but like I said, we are on form and we should be happy with what we're doing. So yes, we can look at them thinking, okay, Giroud could score or Willian's on form and etc. And they've got a strong defence as well. However, look at what we're doing. So we should be going into this game positive as well. Tactics is going to be the one. You know, who's going to dominate the ball, who's going to be adventurous, who's going to be worried about the opposing counter-attacks.
Right.
I think we tick a few boxes. I think we look strong at the back. I think we've got creativity in midfield, and we've got pace up. So we should go in there confident.
Right. And yeah, so we'll come back to a few questions that we have from the people with us. And coming back to the same question that I asked from Dhruv. So talking about Fergie and Ole, he just wanted to know that do you think Ole would go down the same road as Fergie was, with the referees especially, he was intimidating to the referees. He had a different aura towards the referees. What Dhruv actually wanted to ask you, not in general how his style is, but in on that aspect, how do you think would Ole go down the same road?
Not yet. I haven't really seen much in Ollie where he would be. I don't want to say the word disrespectful because I don't think Sir Alex was disrespectful, but Sir Alex was very much more blunt and to the point when it comes to bad decisions. I don't think we've seen much of Ollie, especially recently, where he's had to be so blunt and negative, I guess, when it comes to poor refereeing decisions. However, he did say something in the game quite recently. In the last game, he actually pointed to the TV when an announcer said, I don't know if you've seen it, but he actually pointed to the TV screen when I think Lindelof was accused of a penalty. So, look, he's going to back up his team, we know that, but I think he'll do it in a bit more of a polite way, I guess, than Sir Alex. Sir Alex had a fiery temper. And maybe things are different now because maybe the managers now need to be a little bit more careful what they have to say, maybe. But no, Ollie's just a little bit more polite, I guess, in what he says.
And yes, the next question that we have is from Nitpal. Nitpal, so you follow us on Twitter. All the creatives that you see, all the creatives, any videos that you have seen on our YouTube channel, is all being done by him. He is like the one who handles all the creatives. He's like the best we have in terms of the creatives that we do. So Nitpal wants to ask you that which one young player should be next in line to get more chances, just like Greenwood and Williams have been of late. So according to you, who would you like to see more from the next line of youngsters?
Yeah, this is something that's quite close to my heart because I do actually go and travel to watch the under-23s play. So it was absolutely fantastic to see Brandon Williams get the call up October time last year, and he's done so well. So look, everybody's heard of Garner. We haven't seen much of him this season, even though he was promoted to the senior team. He played very well in pre-season, scored a goal when he was out in Norway. But I can see him maybe going out on loan. So I don't think Garner's going to be in the question. Obviously, we've seen a bit of Chong, but we all know about Chong already. So for me, I think the next one in line is Ethan Laird. And the reason why I say that is because we spoke about the lack of depth on the right-hand side. We know Fauzu Menza is back, but what position he's actually going to be playing in, we don't know. We also know that it's very unlikely that Shaw and Williams are both going to be out, and it was almost like a fluke. So was Fauzu Menza kind of thrown into that role, not based on ability, but almost because of they wanted him instead of Delo. So I still think that place for Ethan Laird. I think Ethan was unlucky not to get in ahead of Williams back in October. I think it's only because Williams was in form and fitter that he probably got in there ahead of Ethan. So what you're going to get with Ethan Laird is very similar to Brandon. You're going to get a very positive attacking fullback who understands culture, who's worked alongside like the likes of Nicky Butt and Quinton Fortune, who knows everything about the team. And I think it's a position that we actually need. We do need someone to stand in for Wan-Bissaka next season, so Wan-Bissaka doesn't play every game. And if it's not going to be Delo, which at the moment it doesn't look like it will be, then I think Ethan Laird should be the one.
Right. And talking about Fosu Mensah, we have a question from Chetan, which is an almost reference to him. What do you think is your take on Delo? He's not even in the squad for today. And what do you think? Is he being treated fairly? Would he be leaving in this window? And if you think he might leave in this window, what do you think would be a fair price so that all of us are, in like at level with him going. So,
Yeah, I do actually think that potentially Delal could go to free up a bit of money.
yeah.
Look, I don't think that there's going to be much more than 6 deals in this transfer window, maybe two in, four out. And I don't think Delal's top of my list that I want him to go because I don't. But
Hmm.
he's not getting any game time. He's not going to be right wing with
Right.
James Greenwood and potentially Sancho ahead of him on right wing. And if he's not
Hmm.
going to play in this cup game, or if he's not going to play when Brandon and Luke Shaw are both out, then when is he going to play? So it looks like that Delo is actually out of favour. I can't see him going out on loan because it's almost pointless. People, players should only go out on loan if they're either developing or about to leave the club. Delo is kind of in the middle ground. So unfortunately, I do think he will be out, going either this season or next season. Whether or not being treated unfairly, I think Delo's got a lot of fans, and I've got nothing against Delo at all. I just think that I'm just going by what I see, and I don't see that much of him because he doesn't get that much game time. So if he doesn't get much game time, then he's just taking up space in the squad where you could promote a youth player or bring in a player. But what's the point of having him if you're not going to play him? So I don't know how he's in training. I don't know what Ollie thinks of him. I doubt he's actually fell out with anybody. But for him not to be playing just kind of shows that he's probably just not good enough in Ollie's eyes anymore.
Right. I mean, because as much as I'm aware of, he does not look like a person who has any sort of attitude issues. I
Yeah,
mean, right? Maybe the coming of Van Bissaka is something which has impacted his progress with United altogether, because Van Bissaka has been a first priority at right back, and Dalot is also a right back. So I
yeah.
believe that is where all of it happened, and Dalot just was not in the lineup or in the squad with us anymore.
I think the position that we're in now, everyone kind of knows where they're playing. With Delo, we don't actually know. He's not an expert in any role. He's almost like an expert, maybe like as a wing back. If he was to
Right.
play like we are today, like a 3-5-2, maybe he could play then on the right hand side as a wing back. But I just
Mhm.
don't think that he's not good enough to be our right back, and he's not going to be good enough to be our right wing option, like a right attacking forward. So for me, I can't see where he fits in, and I think this is a problem that the likes of McTominay and Fred are feeling at the moment.
Mhm.
They may end up being better players than Matic, but they're not a better CDM
Right.
than Matic, so they're not playing. And this is where Delors probably come in. He possibly is a better player than, say, Ethan Laird, but he's not a better right back than Ethan Laird. So not in my eyes anyway. So I think at the moment I just can't see where he fits into the starting 11, and it's a shame.
Right. Right. We have Chetan asking that when can we expect John to be on Instagram?
Hopefully soon. It's took me a while. It took me a while to get Twitter, and I've been on Twitter now for about 14 months. So I'm getting there. I'm working my way around. I do genuinely want to get Instagram, not just to upload photos, but to do Instagram lives, and so I can follow some of the players who don't have
Right.
Twitter as well. So it is something on my mind, but with so many social medias at the moment, it's tough for me to keep up, to be honest.
Right. I mean, before we go to the last series of questions, I just wanted to inform you that we are having a watch along tonight as usual. But this time, this watch along would be with three different clubs as well. So we'll have Delhi and Gurgaon along with people from Goa fan club, one of them from Kolkata, and one of them will be from Jaipur. So like five fan clubs coming together, and we would want you to be a part of it as well. So if you can make time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. What I tend to do is join in the second half. So if that's okay with you, if I can come on at half time, just send me the link, and I'll jump on there as well. No problem.
Definitely, I'll send you the link on Twitter. It's on Zoom tonight, so I'll send you the link along with the password to join it. And
Okay.
we'll expect you at halftime with the first half analysis and how we see the second half progressing then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, I'm excited. I'm excited about the game. I really am. Look, it's London against Manchester. It's a semi cup. It's a semi cup. Sorry, it's a semi final. It's a cup match. It's Ollie against Lampard. It's like third against
Right.
fourth, which was less than not third or fourth. They're below. They should be below us. This is a fantastic game. I do just want to ask you one question, if that's okay.
Yes.
FA
Sure.
Cup. FA Cup. Obviously, I'm in England. I know the history of the FA Cup. What does the FA Cup mean to people in India? Is it well respected at all? Because in England, I think the older generation respect the cup. I think maybe like the younger generation don't really know the history of the FA Cup, and there's no money in the cup anymore. What's your thoughts on the FA Cup?
I mean, I could possibly give you the thoughts on my thoughts or the people I know.
Yeah,
Yes, even in India, we do absolutely, give the same amount of respect to FA Cup as you people in England might do. I mean, as I told you at the beginning of this conversation today, that if we win this FA Cup, we'll the same number of titles that we have with
yeah,
Arsenal at 13 each. So that could also mean a lot to us. And yes, I mean, obviously, this is what, as I said, people who like of the older generation slightly. So for us, it's like a legendary competition. We follow every match. We also try to, do screenings for these matches. And I mean, obviously, it's slightly different from the Premier League because there are different other clubs involved from the Premiership, and that's a different impact altogether. I mean, we have had ups and downs in the last couple of seasons as well, with the teams from Premiership coming and defeating us, and we were not able to go through. So yes, it's a legendary competition altogether. We have also the same amount of respect for this cup, and we are as excited as you people are. We are same amount of excited to have the semi-final tonight, progressing to the final and winning it as well. Yes, I mean exactly the same amount of respect as we have for any other club competition there.
yeah. Yeah, that's great because there's a lot of talk on social media. Unfortunately, the top four battle is now more prestigious than the FA Cup. I don't understand why. It's just a shame because an FA Cup final used to be the last game of the season on a hot summer's day, where you can
Mhm.
lift the trophy at the end of the season and celebrate. And it's a shame that a lot of fans aren't maybe happy to see that or respect it as much, I guess.
I mean, right now, I believe people are more focusing on top four is because that's a direct ticket for us to Champions League,
Yeah,
which is very important for us for next season and also the signings that we have in mind. I think possibly that's the reason why the fans in India, you might feel a little biased towards the top four. Otherwise, as I said, we value FA Cup the same as you people do, and it's a prestigious competition. It's been going on for a long time. So yes, it's the same amount of value that we have. And the reason I'm looking forward, sorry to interrupt you there. The reason I'm looking forward for us to winning the FA Cup is also because I believe that would be the quickest we'll have for next season to beat Liverpool with the Community Shield,
yeah. Yeah, that's
right?
a good point
I
as
mean,
well. Yeah, Community Shield. I know. Yeah, I think I just look back at my childhood and I think to myself, the Community Shield, the Charity Shield, as it was then called, it's just an
right.
exciting start to the season, isn't it? And we appreciate that there's no value in that game, but you don't
Uh-huh.
want to lose against Liverpool. First game of the season, cup winners against league winners. I like these. I like these games, even though there's no money in it. I just I
Mhm.
like to win a trophy. You know.
And what do you think are our chances of Europa this season with the draw that we have and the possible teams that we might play if we progress to the next round?
Yeah, I looked at the draw, and I don't want to jinx it, but we are definitely the best team. Got on the path to the final at least.
Hmm.
I think it was Copenhagen, wasn't it? That was possibly the strongest team out of the four that we could possibly face. Look, we're the best team. We're the best team in the Europa League by far. We just need to continue doing what we're doing, keep playing the same style of play. Um, Again, there's talks around that will we rest certain players for the Europa League so they get more holiday period before the Premiership restarts. I don't think Ollie will do that. Every game that Ollie plays, he'll want to win. So we got that momentum, and so that we get to win a cup. So I can see our best players playing in Europa, and if our best players carry on playing the way that we have since Project Restart, then we have to at least get to a final, and then let's see where we are from there. And this isn't me. This isn't me just thinking to myself, "Oh, these teams aren't any good. We should walk all over them." But the way that we've been playing at our best for a long time now. So we should continue playing at our best, and we will carry on winning.
Right. And as Chetan mentions in the comment section that one of the managers will get to win its first major trophy, be it Ole, Lampard, or Arteta.
What was that? Sorry, what was that? Can you repeat that?
I mean, irrespective of tonight's result, the FA Cup final will have a manager who will win his first major trophy, be it Ole, Lampard, or Arteta.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think all three of us are in different stages of our rebuild. I think obviously Lampard and Ollie probably 2 seasons ahead of Arsenal. I don't know if Arsenal fans will agree with that, but I think if you have a look at what Arteta has to do at Arsenal, he's got a lot of work to do to get a squad there that can compete for the title. I think us and Chelsea are probably maybe 3 or 4 signings away from having a squad that can compete. I think we are further ahead, but well done to Arteta for what he's done so far. Well done to Lampard. He's created his own team there the same way as what Ollie's doing. For me, I think as long as Ollie keeps doing what he's doing with our money and with our fan base and with the players that we already have, I can only see us going from strength to strength. And I'll be very surprised if Arteta's Arsenal can catch us up in the near future. I think Chelsea will be the big rival next season with us.
So we have Paras Sharma who wants to ask you a question. That what is the importance of Carabao Cup? He did not really understand the logic behind it ever. So
yeah, I think
he wants to know what sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yes.
I think the Carabao Cup. I guess in the old days, I'm only in my mid-30s, but when I was growing up, there was less European Cups. You'd have one European Cup, you'd have your league, and then you'd have 2 cups. So nowadays, there's obviously you got that Europa League in there as well, which is an extra cup. I think I think the old-fashioned League Cup or Milk Cup, whatever era that you grew up in, for me it was the Coca-Cola Cup. That was just another opportunity to lift another cup. So maybe your bigger teams would win the FA Cup, but then potentially rest players in the Coca-Cola Cup or the now Carabao Cup. And it was just another chance for a team maybe outside of the top 4 or a team outside of the top 6 to actually have a go at lifting the trophy. Right. And I still think to some point that is still there. For the big teams now, they use it as a chance to, instead of sending players out on loan to get game time, they use it to get game time there. And I think it suits the likes of Manchester United. I would much rather, I wouldn't say I would much rather actually, but it's debatable whether or not you'd use that cup and happily get knocked out of the quarter-final with all of our youngsters to give them some opportunity of some game time, as opposed to win it with our best team. That is a debatable question because not many people favour the Carabao Cup anymore. Look, for me, the Carabao Cup is just a way to rest our players and to play some of our youngsters and to give them a run out. And let's be honest, how many fans had probably heard of Brandon Williams before September this year? Maybe not many of them. If he had played in a few cup matches, all of a sudden a few of our fans would be like, "Oh yeah, he's good. I'm glad to see him in the Premiership." Ethan Laird, if Ethan Laird is playing in a cup match, maybe more of our fans will know of him and be looking forward to seeing him coming. So that's my logic for our team anyway, just to bring through the youth players.
Right. So I'll just ask you a last couple of questions and I'll let you go get some rest before the match starts. So the first question that I'll have for you is, considering this season, do you think a top 4 finish and either the FA or Europa, would be a good deal for Ole altogether?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you have to think at the start of the season, back in August, with the midfield that we had, with the lack of activity on the transfer window, I understand the defenders brought in, fantastic, but we replaced no strikers with Sanchez and Lukaku leaving. We never really replaced Herrera or Fellaini. Okay, you can argue that we brought in McTominay and promoted Garner, but Garner's not played at all. Fred last season wasn't as good as he was this season. Look, the players that we had going into August, we had no right to finish in the starting three, in the top three. So to finish in the top four now, I think is an achievement. And I think to win any cup, to lift a trophy is a success. I do agree that we are one of the better teams in Europa League, so I would expect us to get to the semi-final at least. With the teams that we've got left in there, I'd expect us to get to the final. Right. So for me, the top four and a cup, I think it would be a success.
Okay, and talking about next season, ideally, realistically speaking, who would you want United to sign? I mean, do you think Grealish and Sancho would do the deal for us, or would you want us to invest at some other position as well, maybe like a centre back, or I mean, I believe a centre back because otherwise we have a good enough number of people for other positions.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to how many deals we can feasibly get done in one window. So I mentioned earlier, maybe 2 in, 4 out. I'd take that so long as the next transfer window we can get a centre back. So is this Twanzebe's last chance now next season? If we don't buy a centre back this season, surely this is Twanzebe's chance now to say, look, or Eric Bailly as well. This is my season. Ollie just needs to be quite forceful and say, look, you either have a good season and I don't need to buy a centre back because I've got you, or you have an average season or an injured season and your future with Manchester United has ended and we'll bring in another centre back. So it's very similar to the defensive centre midfield role as well. McTominay signed a contract. We know McTominay's here for good, which is great. But is he our CDM next season? When Matic isn't playing, McTominay's got a chance to be Matic's successor. If he can't succeed next season, then I can see next season us buying a new centre back and a new CDM. And then for me, that rebuild is pretty much done, and it's all down to Ollie then, and I can start pushing Ollie a bit more to get some results.
And realistically speaking, if we get Sancho and Grealish in the next transfer window, how realistic or how do you think are our chances of fighting for the Premier League?
I think that group of 11 can challenge. The problem that we've got is we have to expect for them to challenge for the title next season. We have to expect that one, we won't have as many injuries as we've had this season. So that's obviously down to a bit of luck as well. Also, we have to expect that these new players that do come in have to gel together quite quickly, because if they get off to a bad start, the league has gone before we've even started. Look, if I'm perfectly honest, I don't want to go in there saying that I'll accept second, but because I want to go into any season thinking that we can win. And I think if we do get Grealish and Sancho, along with what we've seen since lockdown, there's no reason why we can't. There's no reason why we can't challenge. But we have to be a bit realistic and think not every game is going to go our way. At the moment we've avoided injuries since lockdown, but what happens if we do get an injury? So for me, I wouldn't expect to win, but I definitely think it's a possibility to win the title. But we do need those players, and we do need to keep them more fit as well.
Right. Okay. So one last question: your prediction for tonight's game?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I think it's going to be tough. Looking at that lineup, it has shocked me a little bit, but I think Chelsea's lineup has shocked me as well. It looks like that we're both going for like some sort of tactical approach. Look, with what we've done, I think we should be definitely going for the win. How we're going to do it, it might be through a counter-attack kind of approach. So yeah, for me, I can see goals in the game. We've got a strong defensive lineup, so hopefully we can't concede more than one. So for me, let's go for a 2-1 win.
And would you like to take a chance at the players who might score? Like, I believe it could be Rashford and James.
Yeah, look, James has got a point to prove. When he came on off the bench a little while ago, he had 2 shots in about 5 minutes. He's desperate to score, and I want him to score as well because Pogba scored, Bruno scored, our front three have scored. I want James to score to help his confidence as well. And it could be the game for James. If we're playing counter-attack, invite a bit of pressure because Chelsea will at times dominate possession. They're a good team. They will dominate possession at times. Is this a chance for James to get ahead and score a goal? So I don't want to copy you, so I'll say James and maybe like a set piece, maybe like a Bruno set piece or something. So Bruno and James maybe.
Or how about a Rashford free kick like last time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Look, Rashford is a brilliant player. Is what he's done over lockdown as well is absolutely excellent. And I can't wait to see his partnership with Martial blossom. Towards the end of the season, and hopefully take us through to the FA Cup and Europa Cup final as well.
Brilliant. And so, John, we at Manchester United Fan Club Delhi and Gurgaon would like to thank you so much for your time today. And we will be speaking to you soon again. We'll have some another live session scheduled soon. And also, as you said, you'll be most probably expecting you at halftime at the watch along today.
Yeah, absolutely. They're always fun to jump on. So thank you for having me. Definitely.
Always a pleasure. I mean, the insights that you have are absolutely brilliant. It was a brilliant discussion that I had with you today, and looking forward to some more.
Yeah, hopefully I can jump on. Hopefully it's half time when I join you. We're 2-0 up and we can enjoy the game together. And let's see a good game and go to Wembley.
I mean, my prediction has been 3-1. Yours is 2-1. So let's see what happens tonight.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Right, I'll see you on Twitter then.
Absolutely. Send me that link and I'll catch up with you in the next hour or so.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, John. We'll see you at the watch along then tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me and thank you to everybody in the comments as well. Thank you.
Glory, glory, Man United, John.
Hey, see you soon.
See you.